right, folks, Captain Paul here. Good morning. Today's Wednesday video. You guys know I live full-time on my boat. I'm a full-time captain, a 100-time captain, and I work for Little Palm Resort. I got a little story to tell you because I broke my first shaft. You know, after 20,000 nautical miles and probably thousands of dockings, finally broke a shaft on a boat. I've never had that happen to me before. I'll explain it a little bit later in the video. Also today is about hurricane readiness and living on the boat for a year. I just want to talk about it, get back to the basics of it. Next week we're going to talk about get back into the survey. Hey, you know, one of my favorite movies was A Few Good Men, Jack Nicholson, and it says...
you want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
He says in there, you can't handle the truth. Well, if you want to do a survey on your boat, on your 40-year-old boat or your 20-year-old boat, and you can't handle the truth, don't do a survey, just buy it, because I've seen it happen. I've seen people fall into this trap so many times looking for that unicorn of what they consider the perfect boat, and it doesn't exist. All these boats are old. They all have issues. Saltwater is not kind to any of them, and we'll talk about it in next week's video. Anyway, this week's video, I want a special thanks to Don and Debbie. Woo! Got another main shift 400, getting very excited about that. We should have that ready to go on the market. We'll do a walkthrough video, and as soon as we get that, I'll release it. But anybody wants contact information on that boat or wants to come down and see it, I think I can make arrangements almost any time, but I was going to do my walkthrough video when I get back from Costa Rica. But anyway, but that 400 main ship, showing you a couple pictures here of it. Thank you, Don, Debbie. Appreciate it. The channel does not work without the love and support of all you guys. Bob Masters is going to let us sell his 2021 Ranger 27 outboard engine. It'll be my first one with the outboard engine, so it'll be something a little bit different. I'm going to do that video. I got it scheduled right now for that one to go on the market, to go on Boat Trader. The week I get back from Costa Rica, we're going to go over and do that video. But anyway, I just can't. The channel doesn't work without all the love and support of all of that stuff. This week we did a survey on the Bristol 42, and like I said, next week we'll go through that in next week's video about these things, because I think we're all looking for that unicorn. It just doesn't happen. And when you do your survey, we did the survey on the 44 Trawler Craft. Got a bunch of surveys going on right now, so it's a good time to be talking about surveys, what to be looking for, what not to get excited about, what to get excited about, and stuff like that when you're surveying one of these boats to buy. So this week, last week you said, at the end of the video there, I said we're going to talk about hurricane readiness, and then what it's like living the dream out here in the Florida Keys. Woo! Here we are, me and Pete, we're 61-year-old guys living in the Florida Keys, and we've been out here for getting close to a year. Wow, it's hard to believe it, but we have technically been here over a year, because we've been in and out, going over to the Bahamas and stuff like that. So we're well in excess over a year, but we've got a year now working regular jobs here in the Florida Keys. So that's what we're going to talk about this week. But first, let's talk about our hurricane readiness, because even though it's only March, 12th, 10th today, it's only probably 3 months before hurricane season starts. I need to start thinking about it now, and the reason I'm talking about that is because our insurance is due on this boat on April 25th. So do I go full coverage, or do I just do liability? What's my hurricane plan? What's my hurricane readiness? And what are we going to do for this season? Because we do plan on being, right now, we plan on being in Southern State. It could sell. Somebody could walk up and say, offer me enough money, and we could walk off the boat. But right now, we do not plan on that right this minute. So we plan on right now, if we had our plan, is to have the boat ready for a hurricane season. And that's what I'm going to talk about for a few minutes. Before then, I'll get into what it's like living out here, living the dream in the Florida Keys. So the first thing that I want to talk about is what is our, when we're thinking about, when me and Pete are thinking about the hurricane, we've already been through a full season in the boat. We've been through a full hurricane season. Last year was very mild. I think we evacuated the boat one time. And what happens here mostly is the water came up pretty high. You can't really get your cars in here, so you got to move all of that stuff out of the way. But the actual boat, one of the big things, about three major things that I would want to cover on this boat right here is making sure I had enough fuel in the boat for propulsion or generation, so I can generate power, or I can move the boat if I needed to. So I always want to make sure my tanks are, if they're not full, they're topped off with plenty of fuel in here. And right now I stick the tanks last week, and I had 3/4 of a tank in this boat right now. That's plenty of fuel. This boat holds 500 gallons, and we're sitting on probably around, out of that 500, we're sitting on probably 350 gallons of fuel, which is plenty of fuel. So if you say I got 300 usable gallons, and I get 2 miles a gallon, I've got a 600-mile range that I could, usable fuel that I could go if I had to. And we really only need to be able to go 100 miles. But then we also need fuel for the generator and stuff like that, because I'm 61 years old. I'm not going to sit out here in the heat. My generator's on and my air conditioners are going in any situation, because Southern Estate is set up with solar and lithium, and it can run the refrigerator and run the fans and stuff like that, but it can't do it for an extended period of time. We still need to start the generators. Every 24 hours, we need to run 4 hours of generator time on Southern Estate here. In a 48-hour period. So you can run 8 hours in 48 hours, or you can run 4 hours in a 24-hour period to keep the batteries topped off and for the next 24-hour period. So we need a generator, and we need to make sure we have fuel for that generator. Also, we have a little Honda generator. So as the season gets closer, we'll make sure that we have an extended run tank for that also. So we'll get that out. We'll make sure that's full of gas. And then we'll make sure that we have groceries in the freezer, like all of our proteins that we need in there. We might even pack in a couple of extra bags of chips and a couple of our drinks, just have those stashed away for that 2-week run where we may not be able to get to any supplies like that. So we have plenty of food, plenty of water. I always keep 10 gallons of drinking water in 1-gallon jugs, and they're up underneath here. I use it for ballast on the boat, but I also use it as, being ready in a situation. Also, another thing that I would do is make sure my water maker's working, because if we did get into a really bad storm and it took out the water system down here in the Keys for a while, we could make water. So the big thing for me is, right now we live in a slip down here in the Keys where we can actually stay in the marina during a hurricane. Not very many people let you do that, but in this slip we can stay here. It's designated a hurricane hole in the Florida Keys, and we're able to stay here. So we'd have to move our cars because it'll flood back here. I plan on staying on the boat through this next hurricane, just because I want to be able to tether the lines, move lines, and if I decide to keep the boat here in the slip, I'm going to stay on the boat. But also, if I know a major hurricane's coming, I want to make sure I have plenty of fuel on the boat, because I'm going to move the boat. I'm just going to get out of here and head up the coast to Miami, in that area, and just go sit in an anchorage. I'll just keep going until I find a good place to sit, because Southern Estate has plenty of anchorages. You'd be better off just going outside there and sitting on anchor in her, away from all other boats, because we have that kind of a ground tackle on Southern Estate that I would trust it in probably 50, 60, 70 mile an hour winds with no problem at all. Not a lot of people have that kind of tackle, and it's not part of my hurricane readiness, but it is making sure that windlass working, make sure I got a good chain, make sure I have plenty of chain. I want to anchor in 10 feet of water, and I want to let out 200 feet of scope. And if I was in 40 or 50 mile an hour winds, the boat wouldn't move. But I've been in plenty of storms where I've seen the boats, we're sitting still and all the boats are going right beside us, and that gets scary too, so you don't want to be in a place where it's very populated in a hurricane with lots of boats around you, because a lot of boats are going to break free, and that's just part of the game. Living the dream. So, and then so big thing is fuel in the boat. Make sure the water maker's up and running, which we purge that every single time that we go out. We go out about once a month, once every 6 weeks, and I'll run the water maker to make sure I've got that. Another thing we'll do is we'll add some protein to the freezer. We'll just go to we'll make a Costco run here in the next couple of months, probably 2 months from now, and we'll make sure that we have plenty of protein in the freezer, and that'll last us. I think when we did all of our readiness for the Bahamas, we had literally about 8 months worth of food on here, and we made it that entire 8 months, just eating the food that we had prepared, so I can easily put 8 months worth of food for me and Pete on this boat, between the freezer and all the shrink wrapping it and all of that stuff. No problem at all. So, but all we need really is just probably, I don't know, 30 days supply of food and water. And we will have that on the boat as we're getting ready for this next hurricane season. So another thing now that I really want to talk about is what's it been like for us living the American dream. I think a lot of people out there, especially you, this 40-year-old, you're sitting at your desk, you're just grinding it out day after day, and you're dreaming about living out here in the Florida Keys or in the Bahamas on your boat. And I see it so many times. I've talked to so many guys. They all have these same dreams. 90% of them will never make it to the Bahamas. And out of that 90%, I would say only 5% more will actually buy a boat, pull the trigger, and do it, because I think they find out that it's very, very expensive, and you need to be prepared, like, for anything in life. And having money to stay out here and maintain this lifestyle, it's not a cheap lifestyle. Unless you're going to have some derelict boat that that you pay $5,000 for and just throw the anchor out, it doesn't run. But keeping one of these boats up and running is very expensive, and we've talked about it in several videos. And so, you've got to be, ready for it, which me and Pete are financially. We could, if I blew a motor in this boat today, I could pull the motor and put a new motor in here if I had to. But also, I'm a maintenance freak, so you guys have seen my engine room several times. I take care of these engines. I take care of what I have, and keep the boat up and running. In next week's video, we're going to talk about, I'll go over it, the surveys, and if you don't want to know the truth, don't do a survey on a boat, because once you find out the truth, are you really going to buy that boat? And a lot of people will say no, they are not going to buy the boat. And then you never end up buying a boat, because you just keep doing surveys and finding out, there's no such thing as the unicorn, there's no such thing as the boat with no problems. It doesn't exist. Anyway, and that's what we're going to talk about in next week's video. So living out here, what's my take on it for the last year? Because now we're both working jobs. I'm a captain at a little Palm Island. I broke my first shaft. Here I probably got about probably getting up there close to 20,000 nautical miles under my belt now, and I don't even know, thousands of dockings, because just at Little Palm, I dock 19 times a day. Yeah, 19 times a day, 18 times a day, and that's on an average day. And then the mileage that I do, before I even got there, I probably had well over 20,000, or getting close to 20,000 nautical miles. So now it's probably in excess of that, probably getting close to 30,000 nautical miles. I'll have to figure it out one day. I broke a shaft in a boat. I've never had that happen to me before. So it was kind of a weird sensation, because we're just, I was coming up on plane. I've just got the boat up on plane. And then all of a sudden, I'm backing the RPMs down, because we run that boat around 27. It depends what the weather's doing. I personally like to run it about 25, 50. But when it's rough out and the wind's blowing, we need to be up at around the 2750, 2850 range. So, and I threw it up on plane. I was just backing off, got a bad vibration, and wham, the shaft just pops. And all of a sudden, I'm driving, and I'm like, what the heck is going on here? There's no propulsion in the start. Yeah, it was the port engine. And it was the starboard engine. There's no propulsion here. I'm going, what's going on here? But the boat did actually amazing. It's our brand new one that we just got to the fleet. Actually did amazing with just a single motor, and I was able to drive it and put it in the slip. I didn't even have to use the thruster. So I was able to bring it in on a single screw with no thruster in some pretty decent wind. It wasn't that bad. Anyway, so living out here and living the dream on this 50-foot boat, I don't think we do what we thought we were going to do. We thought we were going to just be in this big party, and the couches and all the drinking and blah, 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 and none of that has happened. none of it's happened. We've got out here, we've got into our routine, and it's just a regular job, just like we would do with any other regular job. The only difference is, at the end of the day, we're coming home and we're getting on this boat. And living on this boat full time, would I change it or would I do anything different? No. I don't really want to go anywhere for right now. You know, am I going to live on a boat the rest of my life? No. But right now, I'm living the dream. I'm out here. I'm enjoying it. I always joke with people about the teak decks. You know, if you want to mow grass, I equate it to mowing grass. Well, we don't have any teak decks on Southern States, so we don't have to do that. I could give her a bath once a month. I'll bust out the hose and wash her. But it's no different than living in a house. The only way that gets any difference is if I lived in an apartment and, you know, they were taking care of all that type of maintenance. But if I was living in a house, like pretty much I always have, I would have to go out there, mow grass, wash. So it's all about the same as that. But I think at the end of the day, when I come home, you know, just hearing that water lapping against the hull, or I'll pull the front curtains down and I'll see what's going on outside in the harbor and stuff like that. Just the sound of the boats going by, just all in general, you know, I love living on the boat. And it's different now that the boat's not moving, because there's certain things, like when it's moving, you're always constantly, you know, in the engine room, you're always constantly going through the systems, and that's kind of stopped. It's like every month now, and I need to do a checklist where I just go through every month, you know, start the engines, do this. And we do take Southern State out. We try and take it out at least once a month or every 6 weeks, just to make sure the engine, you know, the engines are running, make sure the generator's running, make sure we got propulsion, make sure we got a generator if we need it. And that's part of the routine maintenance that we need to do. Another thing is, like my dinghy, I haven't taken the dinghy out, and I don't even know, probably 6 months. But we always say, you know, I'm going to drive the shit out of that dinghy. And we don't. The boards, you know, like I don't even think I've been on a board since we stopped the boat. I have not even got on a board probably in the last 8 months. It's something I need to do. So I think when we think that we're going to do all that stuff, but we don't. It's just a place to come at the end of the night. We both worked very, very hard at our jobs. And at the end of the day, you know, we both love it. Neither one of us are ready for the change yet, but when we are, you know, and we go back onto living on the dirt, you know, it will be ready for it, if that makes sense. But you know, I wouldn't change anything in my life. If I could go back and change, you know, do I want to live on this boat full time? The answer is 100% yes. Did I dream about that my entire life? The answer is yes. Did I earn the right to be here and live on this boat? The answer to that is yes. And I think that's a big key to it all, is not so much having to worry about money, you know, like we did when we were in our 40s, 30s, 40s, 50s, you know what I'm saying? So now it's, you know, we're at a different place. I was doing the survey yesterday on Harold's boat, and me and Lewis are coming back in his boat, and, you know, we're talking about, you know, where we're at in life. You know, he goes, in a lot of places, because we live on a boat down here in Marathon, we would be considered wealthy people. Now, I don't consider myself wealthy at all by any stretch of the imagination, but in some places we would be considered wealthy people because we live out here on our boats. But, you know, when I look around me, you know, could I afford that $1 million house over there? No, but I'm sitting right here. This house right next to this boat right here is probably $2.7 million, $3 million. Here I'm living on my $100,000 trawler right next to that $3 million house. Do I like living down here? I, you know, absolutely love it. But again, like you heard earlier, you know, we gotta think about the hurricanes. Never any. I put my jacket on, I think this season so far, this winter, 3 times. So do we have to? Am I going to get cold? No. I mean, it's just it's beautiful to live down here. The scenery is unbelievable. I never get tired, and I never take for granted the sunsets. Just unfreaking believable. And you know, not getting up and shoveling snow, not mowing my grass. You know, I love all that stuff, and I'll continue to do it until I don't want to anymore. and then I'll go back into the dirt lifestyle. Anyway, I appreciate you guys so much. Again, I can't say thank you enough. I appreciate it. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. I know it's not an exciting video, but I just wanted to stop for a minute and just, you know, do I love it? Yes. Would I change it? No. Anyway, thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart. I can't say thank you enough. Thank you for watching the videos. Thank you for sharing them with your friends. Thank you guys for, you know, dreaming about this lifestyle and actually, you know, taking the time to watch one of these videos. Appreciate it so much. Anyway, God bless. Have a great week. I will see you guys next week. Thank you. Bye.